Images emerge showing Ukrainian Navy PR.304 Amur-class command ship, Donbass, U-500, on fire in Mariupol, Ukraine. Vessel has been there several years. Ukrainian foreign minister says there is no distinction between offensive and defensive weapons. Any weapons, including tanks and fast jets, would be used to defend Ukraine. He says any country making this distinction, and plenty do, are being hypocritical. Russian army attempted to break through the defenses near Novotashkivsky, but failed. General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine. Russian troops shelling Zolot, Kherson, Severodonetsk and Lysychansk in Luhansk region. Austria expels 4 Russian diplomats. Today the foreign ministers of NATO countries as well as those of Ukraine, Finland, Sweden, Georgia, Australia, Japan, New Zealand and South Korea are slated to hold a meeting to discuss Ukraine in Brussels. Ukrainian air defense shot down 3 cruise missiles over Zaporizhzhia overnight. Secretary Antony Blinken, the G7 is committed to holding President Putin to account for his unprovoked war of choice and ensuring he endures a strategic defeat in Ukraine. Hromadske, 1022 explosives were found and destroyed in the Kyiv region just yesterday. Missile launches from Shakhtarsk. Ukraine accuses Hungary of helping Putin in the war. Russian army shelled Kharkiv 50 times last night. Lukashenko said that Russian-Ukrainian negotiations cannot take place without the participation of Belarus. Russian vehicles destroyed, captured by the Ukrainian 53 Mechanized Brigade, location unknown. Fire near Kherson now. Der Spiegel, German intelligence has radio recordings of Russian soldiers discussing atrocities against civilians in Bucha. Shelling reported at Alexeyevka district in Kharkiv. Russian FM Lavrov rejects the idea to discuss Crimea and Donbass at peace talks between Putin and President Zelensky. Ukrainian troops repelled Russian offensive at Kreminna and pushed them 6 to 10 kilometers from the town. Ukrainian border guards raised flag over Remyach in Chernihiv region. Lukashenko claims that Belarusian special forces conducted operation to release truck drivers stuck in Ukraine, so perfect no one noticed it. No evidences or details will be provided. Wreckage of cruise missile was found near David Haradok. Local residents say they heard an explosion. It's known that today after 11 o'clock, residents of Saryblichi, Azdamichi and Algamel, Brest region, villages heard a strong rumble, then heard an explosion and saw smoke. Fires in Kharkiv as result of continuous shelling. Putin discussed war against Ukraine with Russian Security Council. Footage from Mariupol showing a Ukrainian BTR-4 EAPC attacking two Russian T-72 tanks from the rear with a 30 mm cannon. NATO will expand support for Ukraine, Georgia and Bosnia, Stoltenberg. Russian investigative committee claims that explosion of arsenal in Belgorod region on 29 March was caused by 3 Tochka-U missiles launched from Ukraine and resulted in 8 servicemen wounded and destruction of 21 vehicles. Perverted logic for aggressor Russia to present itself as a victim, at Sergei Kislitsa tells UN General Assembly. Poland and the UK agreed to step up urgent military aid to Ukraine. We will work together to facilitate the delivery of lethal and non-lethal aid to Ukraine. We will work to ensure that the Russian war machine cannot benefit from trade in sectors like energy, Presidents Duda and PM Johnson. Johnson describes Russian forces' attacks on civilians in Ukraine as a systematic massacre of innocents. Interior Minister Fazer, Z, is a symbol of support for Russia's war of aggression and can thus be prosecuted as a crime in Germany. I support taking steps whenever the threshold to criminal liability is crossed. The state has a mandate to protect people here. Ukraine's military, 16 sabotage groups caught in Kyiv in past 2 days. Alexander Haruzevich, Deputy Chief of Staff of Ukraine's ground forces, said that some of the members of the sabotage and reconnaissance groups are recruited Ukrainians. With 93 votes in favor, 24 against and 58 abstentions, the UN approved the suspension of Russia's membership at the Human Rights Council. More than 30 countries providing Ukraine weapons and systems to use against Russia, says Atsek Blinken, speaking from at NATO HQ. Graves of civilians killed in Chernihiv. Russian army conducted airstrike near bridge at railway from Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, 3 evacuation trains blocked until further notice. Russian troops kidnapped more than 100 people in Melitopol, Mayor. Kremlin spokesman admits that Russia had significant losses of troops in Ukraine. 26 bodies were extracted from the rubble of 2 residential apartments blocks in Borodyanka. Russian missile strike damaged one of infrastructure object in Novorad-Volinsky today, Mayor. Ukrainian army repelled 6 Russian attacks in eastern Ukraine, destroyed 4 tanks, 5 APCs. 4 killed, 8 wounded, 2 missed in Dnipropetrovsk region as result of Russian strikes. Ukrainian military downed Orlan-10 drone with electronic warfare measures in Luhansk region. EU ambassadors have agreed on the 5th sanctions package on Russia. Should be published in the EU official journal tomorrow. In Husarivka village of Izium district, Russian troops tortured and killed 3 civilians and burnt their bodies, prosecutor's office in Kharkiv region. Situation in Borodyanka near Kyiv is much more horrific than in Bucha, says Zelensky. Shelling in Kharkiv, explosions audible. As result of missile strike from sea, several objects of infrastructure damaged in Odessa region. Novovolontssovka and nearby villages were shelled with cluster ammunition. In a new video, Ukraine Defense Minister Alexei Reznikov calls for countries to stop sending old Soviet weapons, and instead send weapons used by NATO countries, to send a powerful signal to Russia that it will not succeed in depleting the Ukrainian army. Secretary of Defense, just since February 24, when Putin launched his unprovoked and unjustified invasion of Ukraine, the U.S. has committed over $1.7 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. We will continue to work around the clock to fulfill Ukraine's priority security assistance requests.